Oh, and they have t-shirts on that says, "Baby, don't hurt me."
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. I am a professor of sport and exercise science at Lehman College. I'm also the co-founder of RP and the co-creator of the RP Hypertrophy app. I think I'm a little bit qualified to talk about people who train, but there's levels to this. And on the upper tier super crust level is Mr. Mike O'Hearn, also known as Mr. Mike O'Tren. I don't really know why that would be the case, but Mr. Mike O'Hearn claims to be drug-free. We'll see if I have anything later to say about that. But I think he's like 1,000 years old and looks the same as when he did in the 80s, which to me makes no damn sense. So I want to know, what is this elixir of life he's drinking or injecting? What is this fountain of youth he's bathing in? Is it his exercise choice and technique? Let's find out.
At this stage of my life and career,
The vampire stage? Motherfucker like 90 years old. Get out of here.
I've been doing movies, and so
An actor. Scott, have you seen Mike O'Hearn in any movies?
I sure haven't.
Maybe he was an extra or a backup guy or some jack dude in the back. You never can tell.
the focus is to still give them that physique that won the universe, but then on top of that, give them that physique that still is healthy.
Healthy. Mike, you're a shade of red. Like me. Nobody healthy out here. Get up out of here.
And is appealing to the masses. Everything I do is so I can do this in 10 years.
Yo, I really want to hear the shit because, yeah, he's been around for a while and he doesn't really age conventionally or at all. So let's see if it has to do with his exercises. I love the fucking gladiator music for this shit. Motherfucker, you doing behind the neck pull downs of 70 pounds. Ain't no gladiators around. Shit. Behind the neck pull downs are totally fine. As long as you're not experiencing really debilitating sharp pain in your shoulders or something like that, you're good to go. And it looks kind of scary, but if you work up to it over time, gradually, it can be a totally effective exercise. But it's a different thing than asking if it's a really good stimulus to fatigue ratio. For you, it may or may not be, but if Mike O'Hearn says it's good, well, then at least it was probably good in the 80s too, back when he was the same age. All right, the behind the neck pull downs were good. I think he did that kind of just to warm up and loosen the joints, which is totally cool. And now he's in what I assume is his first exercise. And that's what I call the double dildo rope. And this is just kind of another way of doing pull downs. I can tell you that you're probably not doing a lot of weight with regard to your ability if two things are in evidence for someone as experienced and strong as Mike O'Hearn. One, he is not in a bench that can push back against the load. He's not buckled in. So if I tried to do this with loads that are meaningful to me, I would just pull myself up halfway and pull the bar halfway, and I'll be like, oh, kind of stuck in the middle here. So I don't think he's using a lot of force here. It better be really high reps. That's the first thing that comes to mind. The second thing is, unless he has a very prodigious grip, that kind of grip right there is going to be your limiting factor 9 times out of 10 and not your muscle's ability to pull. So because he's not using VersaGrips, for example, or straps, worst case, I don't know if he's working very hard. Let's find out if we get any kind of reps closer to failure, just to ascertain if maybe he's pushing himself. I don't know maybe it was a warm-up. That's what I tell myself. Maybe it was a warm-up.
So this is one of those fun little exercises that I got from Francis Benefato.
Francis Benefato is a god, kind of the classic physique man. Look at his posing. Oh, beautiful. Now, if you're my biological son, IFB Pro Jared Feather, you say like, yeah, whatever, like that's not impressive. I can do that. And that's like Jared says things like that all the time. I don't know if he's right. Maybe.
We're doing Smith machines today.
Smith machines. I assume those are squats or presses. I have no idea. Let's find out.
We did do a warm up on the incline prior to this, but we're not counting that.
Holy shit. Listen, legit is legit. A 405 warm up, which looked pretty hard to me, is very impressive. I don't know if we would call it a warm up, but nonetheless, nobody out there just doing 4 plates on incline. That's fucking dope. So mad respect for this kind of just natural strength that's just rare. Drug-free, truly drug-free, lifetime drug-free strength that very few people have. Mr. Mike O'Hearn is one of them.
Now on the Smith machine, 2 things. Come here. We got these pins all set up at a location location to where I cannot touch my chest.
Okay, yeah, this is just flat out a bad idea. Unless you have debilitating joint pain or are unable to touch your chest for that reason, not touching your chest at the bottom takes away that last few inches, when you know are critically important, of super tension under stretch. And when you stretch your pecs or any other muscle out under an incredible amount of load, which you have in your hands when you're Smith pressing, that actually conveys a hugely disproportionate amount of muscle growth versus like if you did the range from here to here or in the middle. That bottom big deep stretch is the most important. So delimiting that outside of injury concerns, or you have shoulders that are fucked up and can't go any lower, is just a really bad idea. It's the opposite of a good idea. But let's find out, maybe there's some rationalization here.
Almost like a floor bench.
Which the 4+ sucks. It's a fucking shitty exercise for hypertrophy. It's totally good for assistance in powerlifting moves, but I don't know if that's what he's doing.
I'm always safe, but today I gotta be overly safe because I'm water depleted. So that's even tougher when you're training at this stage. Most people, which I agree with, don't train heavy that last week before the show.
Yes, Mike O'Hearn, most people are correct. Not a good idea to train water depleted heavy because your muscles are drier and they're literally more brittle and can tear more easily. So good idea to lighten up and hit some high reps in that last week. But let's see what he has to say about why he still goes heavy.
I'm on stage tomorrow.
Typically when you go on stage tomorrow, you do not train hard for the last several days before that. What's he on stage for anyway? Scott, does he compete in bodybuilding or some shit like that? Wasn't aware of this. In a natural federation, I'm sure. Training for muscle growth is never going to be the same.
So you set up good, there you go. Down, slow, take it down.
Yeah, so like front squats to a box are preposterous. That doesn't convert to Olympic weightlifting, which is one of the number one reasons you would use the front squat. So weightlifters don't do this. Also, the front squat allows you to stay very upright all the way down to the bottom and flare your knees out, which is the perfect invitation to actually go low. And again, when you go low and get a huge stretch on your glutes and on your quads, that's actually where you grow the most muscle. So by setting up the bench at the bottom, you're actually literally taking away the part of the range of motion that's the most hypertrophic, that conveys the most gains. But the good news is your dumb ass gets to sit on a fucking box like a pussy. Not have to go all the way down and take even more weight off the fucking bar. That's nice. You get to feel nice, which is important.
So the elbow is not really moving.
Yeah.
And because it's hammer curl, you're focused more on a strong wrist.
Really? Okay. I thought hammer curls were for all the other forearm flexors that were not your bicep, because by taking your bicep and putting it into insufficiency, you get the other muscles worked. What do I know? I just do this for a living. The wrist thing, I don't know. Is that I didn't think hammer curls were targeting the wrist specifically. But I would just kind of label this as the kind of fitness advice that just confuses people more than it helps them. Like, I swear to God, I'll have a guy on my Instagram tomorrow be like, Dr. Mike, I heard hammer curls are for the wrists. And I'm just going to be like, oh, yes, hold on a sec. That's it. Goodbye, Mike.
It's hammer curls. So it's got to be a strong, this is the portion we're working now.
Fuck.
So strengthen, got to come from the wrist. Strong, keep the elbow still. So this is the movement.
Trying to be nice. It's really hard. I would say that was a sequence of words that a GPT could say have all of the logical structure of a sentence, but upon examination actually make no sense at all. So a variety of false, poorly couched claims that are either not in evidence or do not follow. Yeah, it's great. Mike O'Hearn's exactly the kind of guy in the gym you would overhear saying some shit like that. You're like, oh shit, it's all about the wrist. Write it down, try it, doesn't work. The next day you're not any closer to being Mike O'Hearn. Damn it, I need more tips. Dude, that guy's hair is sweet. And it's the ultimate California guy because he's got like a backwards hat on and a bunch of hair. He's like, free fucking surf lessons, bruh. It's like a really Venice Beach type of person. I don't know who that guy is, but he sure is living the dream. Hey, look, he's leg pressing wrong.
9. Okay, now, toes all the way in.
Oh,
Okay, now
Focus here. Bring these as close as you can. Back up. Sit.
Hey, Mike, guess what? In theory, the part of the quad that actually receives the biggest stimulus when you point your toes in is the outside of the quad, not the inside. So you are finger banging his knee for no reason at all. It's actually the wrong cue. That being said, multiple lines of research have been conducted into whether or not foot positions make any kind of significant difference, at least in the first 12 to 16 weeks of a program, on which parts of your muscles grow. And the reality is that it's minimally detectable and often just not detectable. Does that mean you shouldn't do this? Well, no, you can, and you might get some tiny bit of growth in various parts of your quads than others. I will say you're almost always best served doing two things. One is doing the movements in a way that feel great, can let you load them a lot, and they'll train your overall quads, overall biceps, overall whatever you want, without having to do weird angles. Secondly, you gotta think about how things are affecting your joints and your probability of injury. If you get used to doing leg presses like this, they're totally fine, and you may feel quite good about how you do them. No chronic pain, nothing of that nature. However, there's a probability that if, well, you're learning this on the fly with 5 plates on each side, you point your toes that far in, your knees might not be too big of fans of that, and you could get hurt. So I would say anything you do that's radically different than the norm, start with very light weights, practice for a long time, slowly move up, and make sure it's rational and justified. For example, if with this method, he's able to get 10 repetitions, but with conventional toes out a little bit, he's able to get 20 repetitions, is the marginal, theoretical, hypothetical effect on his outer quads really worthwhile to reduce your training volume and intensity so much? I think the answer is almost always no, which is why I think in most cases, small angles and tricks and tips and turn this, turn that to hit slightly different parts of the muscle are usually not worthwhile. Does that mean it's not worthwhile in this case? No, it could be worthwhile, but color me as skeptical as that man's hair is luscious and long and free in the wind. Back in the 90s, he was like a guy who made custom BMX bikes for some of the most famous riders. And if you had to put it on a scale, the amount of marijuana he smoked since then is in the like planetary scales, like roughly the circumference of Mars in weed. Scott, did I miss anything? How often does he go surfing? He surfs every day. And van life, he's absolutely like, he's on his Instagram, he has like Hawaii and LA as his things and a little airplane emoji. That absolutely 100%. If you're liking how this is going, we have an extended, uncensored version in our members area. Please feel free to subscribe to that, and that'll be nice. Ooh, a belt squat. Oh, folks, here's how to belt squat improperly. You sit as far back as you can to take as much stress off your quads as possible and transfer it to your glutes. It's not a bad glute exercise in this case, but unfortunately it would be much better if you went deeper because it puts a bigger stretch on the glutes and the quads. So the best way to do these belt squats is to stay as upright as you can, specifically taking your knees and pushing them across and in front of your toes as far as possible, so long as your heels are still on the ground, and then descending all the way down super deep and ideally holding that bottom position. That bench that he's squatting to makes this a very partial movement, and it makes it marginally less effective for muscle growth. So this I would not recommend. That sucked.
Now again, this is going to, you can see this, all that tricep, all that muscle, and then strengthen the elbows again.
I don't know what to say about this. If Mike O'Hearn touched me like that on my arm, the prolonged scratch of the examination of another man, I would do one of two things. Get in his face, never fucking touch me like that again, or get in his face to see like, dude, you want to just make out? We could get out of here. We could do it here. I don't give a fuck. Also, when a tricep extension is being done, and it's quite clearly to anyone over the age of 6 that triceps must be involved, it's a bit strange to be pointing that out. Like you see these triceps working, like, no shit, motherfucker. They work every time you do this in any capacity. Anytime you bend your elbow and you try to extend it, it's your triceps working. I don't know, he said some bullshit about like makes the elbow stronger. Sure, all lifting with bending the elbow will do that. This exercise is not particularly special. This exercise isn't great because as the dumbbells touch, it limits your ability to stretch your triceps further. I would like to see this gentleman do the exercise behind his shoulders to really put that crazy stretch on the triceps. It is practicing for for college, as I like to call it. It's going to be a room full of frat boys sooner or later, and you might find yourself on your knees. And, well, frat boys need to be relieved, don't they? You have 2 hands. Why not use them? That's what I say. Anyway, let's see what else, what other free there is. Oh, and they have t-shirts on that says, "Baby, don't hurt me."
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
So I know you get hyped up and stuff, and a lot of people do this. When you hear like 10, is this not true that you start going faster instead of keeping the form the 1?
Yep, people rush their reps. True.
You could do 20, but it's partials, and it's about the straining of the connective tissue.
What? Isn't all lifting about that? Also, if you could do 20, why aren't you? With good technique, you should be pushing close to failure. That's how gains happen. Nonsense.
So that makes sense to you guys, right?
No, not even close. Let's try again.
Because he's not keeping tension on it. It's the rubber band that kind of gets let go and then pulled, and let go and pulled. So I'm trying to create that.
Fine. So it is Mike O'Hearn. So it looks like Mike O'Hearn is just kind of moving the weights around a little bit. Good technique, decently. Some of it not so great. Could do a lot of things I tell most folks they can improve upon, as control the eccentric, and a bit of a strictness with technique, and a super, super crazy stretch at the deepest parts of the range of motion. Those would all be good things for Mr. Mike O'Hearn to focus on. But then again, who the f am I to tell him what to do? He's 8,000 years old and has never aged a day. So I'm trying to get on his fucking protocol. And honestly, I think with Mike O'Hearn, the reason he maintains his youthfulness so well is a dedication to a drug-free lifestyle. Having done 0 steroids ever, and the microtrend nickname, it's just mean. This really has found out that the secret to longevity is doing what they told you to do in the 80s. Just say no to drugs. And Mike's my man. So for this video, I give him a grade of 7 out of 10. Not bad. That's C. That's passing work. And I think that with making a couple of corrections and actually training hard, or trying a little bit, just kidding, am I? I don't know. That he could get his scores up with some improved technique and harder training to, geez, 9 out of 10, no problem. And then when he realizes that he's now rated by me as 9 out of 10, the sheer overwhelming abundance of joy that will descend upon him, having been approved of by some no-name fake doctor on YouTube with lifting weights who has a giant steroid head, will no doubt be just totally disproportionate to anything he's ever felt. He could even just pass out from elation upon recognizing this maximum lifetime achievement. Folks, in your own achievements, I wish you the best, and we'll see you next time. All right, folks, that's it for today. If you guys like this video, YouTube thinks you're going to like this one. And yeah, YouTube knows things. They've got algorithms.